Fans of my channel know that my favorite color is red, specifically red and black. And when I saw this 2002 Cadillac Eldorado Special Edition, I had to have it. This is a 2002 ETC Cadillac, also known as the Eldorado. 2002 was the last year they produced the traditional style of Eldorado. So to commemorate that, they did a limited edition collector series, and of that series, only 532 of them were in this amazing Aztec Red. But not only is the exterior amazing, the interior is fantastic. Take a look at the inside of this thing. It is black and red leather, like it was custom made for me. When I show this car off to people, they literally think that I had the interior done this way, because it's almost as though I called up Cadillac and said, I've got an idea for a Cadillac, and this is exactly how I want it to be. The Eldorado is the two-door, and there are a few design features that have always followed this model. For instance, the forward front wing or fender flares, I guess you could call them wings. You look at the older traditional style Eldorados, they always had sort of a front wing that went like this, and you can see how they kept that in the design of this car. I don't believe that the hood ornament was something that was part of this series, and I think the previous owner put that on there as well as a few other things. Now, I actually decided to Pimp Daddy some of this. I added some of these little gold key ring holders, also gold sail panel badges. A lot of people are going to hate those. Fine, hate me, I don't care. Also added the gold rear trunk keyhole and also a gold antenna cover. I love red and gold. My office, for those of you who've watched, is red and gold. This car's fantastic. Air ride suspension. It has the, controversial Northstar V8 32 valve. But by 2002, they had solved most of the head gasket problems. You see, the problem was the early Northstar engines had short, fine thread head bolts. And if you overheated the car, they would pull away and then you'd blow a head gasket. Well, they replaced them with longer, more coarse thread. There is a kit you can get that you can really bulletproof the engine, but this one has well over 100,000 miles and is running strong and doesn't leak a drop. The car is doing fantastic. I love, love, love driving this car. This thing just flies and glides like a magic carpet. That Northstar 32 valve V8 front wheel drive that was always the signature front wheel drive of the Eldorado, 300 horsepower, was one of the most powerful production front engine cars ever made at the time. Visibility is great in this car. You've got a really cool sunroof that pops up and also pulls back. I gotta tell you, I've had a lot of cars with sunroofs, including my CTSV wagon, and the air buffeting was terrible. It made a ton of noise when you opened the sunroof. Whereas in this car, you can have the sunroof open and not even realize that it's open, because the wind is so clean going across it, you don't even realize that it's open. It happened to me the other day. Air conditioning in this thing is great. Now, I'm in Las Vegas. Temperature today was up to almost 120 degrees. I am not kidding. It does get that crazy hot here. But the air conditioning holds up pretty well. Now, I took it for a ride the other day up the mountain, up to Mount Charleston, where it's typically up to 40 degrees cooler. And when I got into the 80 degree temps, 70 degree temps, the air conditioner was freezing me to death. So I can tell you that if you had this car in a normal environment, not out in the desert like we are now, you probably wouldn't have any trouble over it. I've been driving it around for the last week, and it stays nice and cool in there. It's a great car. Speaking of hot, this color is hot. You know, when the Eldorados first came out, they came out in red and white, and they wanted to commemorate that. So out of the 1,596 last editions they made in 2002, gosh, that's hot. Only 532 of them, 1/3 of them, were this hot Aztec Red. It's really a lipstick red. And they rarely ever put out a Cadillac in this red color. They did the Alante, but usually they're burgundy or there's some other kind of an off red color. This is truly a lipstick red. I can imagine any real estate agent chick would love to have this car. I mean, this thing is just pimped to the max. The Eldorado was traditionally always a two-door front-wheel drive. Like I said, had those front wings. And I really think that this qualifies as Radwood era, because they made this car from 92 to 2002 and it really didn't change a whole lot. This is a 90s car. You can see my red and black Ford Excursion in the background. Like I said, I love red and black. This remote key fob, well, this is the original. I think this is kind of cool. Remote for the fuel door that pops open, and of course a remote for the trunk, which of course has the traditional soft close. Every car should have the soft close. I love how this remote works. It's very simple, very easy to operate. Doesn't have a remote start. I could add that in, but it works, and it's the simple square and round key GM system, even in 2002. Now I know it's not quite dark enough yet, but I want to demonstrate something that the older Cadillacs did that a lot of the newer ones don't. If you notice this front area next to the turn signal, that's called a cornering light. So when I get in and turn the car on and put on the turn signal, you'll see that it illuminates and it will light up that side of the road, whichever side you're turning on. Even though it's not that dark out, I'm gonna hop in and show it to you, just because I think it's cool. I think that that's something that every car should have, and it lights up the side where you're turning, and it comes in really handy, and it's something that Cadillac has always done. Here's a look at this Northstar 32 valve V8. Am I the only one that thinks it's weird that it has a plastic timing gear that you can visibly see running? It's pretty clean under here. I think it's a very good motor. I like that they have this cross bracing going here for extra strength and stability, something you only usually find on sports cars. It's a pretty tight fit. I wouldn't want to work on this thing, but it's a heck of a system. It's a good motor. All right, let's take a look at the interior of this thing, and I wasn't kidding. Check this out. It is black and red. Now, listen, before the comments start talking about the carpet's dirty, this is my daily driver. I'm driving this thing every day, so get off my case. Anyway, check out the doors on this thing, black and red. Now, truth be told, I had these floor mats made, custom floor mats by, I think they're called Floyd or something. But other than that, and the steering wheel cover that I picked up at O'Reilly's, this is all stock. This is how the interior is. I mean, check out how the back seat is. Pretty amazing. There's actually quite a bit of room back here. I mean, I don't know if I would want to sit back there, but it definitely looks cool. You do have ashtrays, of course, because people who ride in Eldorados smoke. And there's actually a cool little air conditioner. I didn't realize that this cigarette lighter was lighted. That's kind of cool. So there's a cigarette lighter adapter and your own little fan control, which works. Wow, look at that. Very nice. Great for guests. Makes a lot of noise. Turn that off. Actually, and if I can get to it back here, that's hard to do holding the camera. But this armrest comes down. And then this pops open, and there's a cup holder here for guests, and then a place to put, you know, I don't know what you put back there, but you can put some stuff back there. Passenger side, as you can see here, here's that dash plaque that shows that it's a custom edition. Fantastic. Quick view of some of the controls here. You can push this out of the way here, and there's a cigarette lighter, of course. Plug in your phone. You do have heated leather seats. Here is a little cup holder action. It's kind of dirty. And you can lock this little parcel box. Of course, this thing still plays cassettes. I've got a little Judas Priest here. Fortunately, can't really play it, but it also accepts CDs. I don't know if I have to change sources. There we go. Let's listen to a little Human League. I listen to all kinds of music. It's crazy. But the CD player does work. The CD player works. Everything works. Fantastic, actually. Sounds really good. So guys, I'm not kidding. Look at the outside temperature. 118 degrees in the shade. July in Las Vegas. You might want to wait till November to come here. Let's check out the instrument cluster. Now, this says apply brake to shit. You can scroll through this info button right here, and you can kind of get your range, miles per gallon. I'm not getting 17 miles a gallon, maybe. It's got a simple computer system. Pretty basic. Over here you have your Twilight Sentinel, which is, you could set the setting for how long the lights stay on after you exit the car. Of course, there's some fog lights here you can turn on and off. Here you can see your cruise control and wiper functions. That where it says auto delay, that means it has a rain sense system. You can see up there, that's the rain sense system. Here are the controls for the home link and the control for the sunroof. You have these really cool lighted illuminated steering wheel buttons for the volume and the selectors, also for fan speed and temperature. I think those are really cool. I like the embossing of the old Cadillac crest here, and you could see that they went for a sporty kind of a carbon fiber look in here, which was pretty modern when in 2002. The stereo system is a Bose. I wish I could play it for you, but even with a cassette or CD, it sounds fantastic. I can't play you any music, obviously. You have some controls here to pop open the trunk, the fuel door, info reset, trip reset. It's very simple to operate. The only thing that I do find weird is this little knob controls your temperature, and sometimes I mistake it for the radio knob up here, you know, and so I'll try to turn up the volume and then I'm turning up the heat, you know, not necessarily what I want. There is separate passenger controls here that they can control how much they want. So, you know, if you're sitting with somebody else and they want it to be colder or hotter, you can do that. I have a bunch of junk in the glove box, but there's a shot of the glove box where you have a valet button. And you can also turn the traction control off. This car does have traction control. And the valet button, when you turn that on and you lock this with the key, it will disable the garage door opener and the trunk and those kind of things. But very simple instrumentation. I mean, you just have a basic tachometer, speedometer. But I gotta complain about one thing. Notice this parking light. I'm gonna put my foot on the brake. When you put it into drive or whatever you put it into, it's yellow, it's amber. That really should be green, because normally an amber light like that would be indicative of like a check engine light. So I'm constantly looking at it thinking, oh my gosh, I think you know, there's something wrong with the engine. And I realize it's just, I'm in drive, see? That really should have been green or some other color, because it's very distracting being yellow. Seriously, guys, look at me in this car. If you watch my videos, you know I wear red and black. I've been wearing these red suspenders for 20 years. It's literally like I'm sitting in the seat already. You can just put my face on the headrest. When I saw this car for sale, I had to have it. And I flipped my lid. I didn't even argue about the price. I said, here's the money, take it, it's yours. Let's take the car for a little spin, see how it rides. So imagine it's 2002. We've just survived the World Trade Center. We've survived Y2K. CDs are a thing, MP3s aren't yet, and people still use cassettes. You're an older Cadillac customer, and you want things old school. You want a real knob for the radio. You don't need a backup camera. I have mirrors. I don't need parking distance control. I just know how to drive a car. It's something that Generation X and the boomers have over the millennials. We know how to drive a stick. We know how things operate. We know how mechanical stuff works, but we still like luxury. Now this car has traditional air ride suspension, and this thing glides and floats. Some of the roads here in Vegas aren't the best, and this thing just wafts over them. It's fantastic. It drives straight, clean, it's very quiet. This particular car has 107,000 miles on it. Now let's talk about the purchase. I found it on local Las Vegas Craigslist. It was up in Pahrump. The guy told me he used to drive it back and forth from LA to Pahrump, which is a little desert town up in the mountains. I don't know, it's about 40, 50 miles away. So he torture tested this thing driving it through the desert, and it could take it. If you want to know if you've got a good car, drive it through the Nevada desert. and see how well it does. The air conditioner in this car is pretty cold. I hope it's not making too much noise, but I do have it blasting. It says my outside temperature is 118 degrees, and that's in the shade. July in Vegas is brutal. Black interior, maybe not the best choice, but I do like this soft velour fabric that they're using for the headliner and the pillar panels. It's very nice. Most of the time in most of these Cadillacs, you're going to find a cream or beige interior and a very light headliner. In my Cadillac CTS-V, which I did a video on last year, you'll see that I did a thing where I took out what they called the platinum headliner and we spray painted it black, and it made a huge difference. And I've noticed that the coupes, the two doors, they usually do in black, which is strange because they'd be more claustrophobic. But it's hard to find a traditional old school Cadillac that's not in an old lady color like cream or beige, champagne, gold, and some of those are kind of cool. I mean, if that's the vibe you're looking for. One of the other things I noticed about this turn signal is it has a very satisfying click. It just like, it's not soft like some of the newer ones. I'm kind of used to that Rolls-Royce Phantom I drive where it has that little sort of a push button. This is a big plastic satisfying click. Now this thing, it has go. This Northstar V8 32 valve is 300 horsepower. You got to think back when I got my 5.7 liter Hemi Magnum in 2005, everybody was losing their minds over that car, and it had 335 horsepower. Here's a front wheel drive old lady Cadillac with 300 horsepower, and this thing goes. I mean, it's got a go button. It'll go. And that's 80 on Tropicana. Let me slow down. I don't think I've ever done that. It's got a pretty good exhaust note. I don't think you could hear that on my little microphone here, but it sounded great and probably just cost me $5 worth of gas. I literally look like I'm part of the car. It's fantastic. Really love the sunroof in this thing. It's nice and quiet. Doesn't make a tremendous amount of noise. I mean, it makes a little bit of noise. It's going to. It's sunroof. But compared to a lot of the cars I've had, they make a lot of buffeting, and this thing just seems to be really well put together as far as, how it just slips through the air. It's certainly not a brick, but and it may not be a slipstream either. But as a nice runaround beater car, it's fantastic. I don't think you can do much better than this in today's market. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed this little video. It's starting to get dark out here, thank goodness. Of my 2002 Cadillac Eldorado ETC Collector Series Aztec Red. If you want one, good luck finding one. I'm in love with this one. I'm not really interested in selling it. I'm gonna keep it for a while, maybe forever. Really happy with the car. The thing fits me like a glove. I really enjoy how it drives. It's sporty, yet very comfortable. It's got a little bit of those old man features. I'm not gonna really do anything to this car. I'm gonna leave it just like it is. My buddy Eric says I should change the wheels to gold. I don't know. These are the original wheels that came with the car. I really like them. Some other people have suggested maybe putting black rims on. I'm just gonna leave it the way it is. I don't think I'm gonna do anything other to it than maybe have the paint corrected. It's got some fading spots from sitting out in the sun. Might change some of the little rubber seals, things, just general maintenance. But I think aesthetically, I'm in love with the car the way it is. The only car that I've seen that's as pretty as this one was the previous generation of Eldorado, which I believe was the 1991, which I really loved that version of the Cadillac. I used to have a 1989 Fleetwood, and that thing was gorgeous. I loved it. And that one also came in red. Cadillac, I wish you would do more cool stuff like this. I'm enjoying some of the new cars you're coming out with, but the Cadillac brand has really changed. They've tried to make this minivan thing, which I can't complain because I bought my mom one, an SRX or whatever they call that thing, the SUX, Cadillac, whatever. And then they have their sports series, and I've had two CTS-V wagons. Let me tell you, it's one of the fastest, coolest cars I've ever owned. But is it a Cadillac? Really? I don't know. This is a Cadillac. This is one of the last true Pimp Daddy Cadillacs, and that's why they celebrated it like it is. The CTS and the ABC and the XYZ and all these other things. It's an Eldorado. And that's what I love about it. And it fits me. I'm a Cadillac guy. I'm an Elvis guy. And if you are too, go out and find yourself an old school Cadillac. Hey everybody, thanks for watching. TCB baby. I'm Videobob. You're still here? Hey, why don't you like, share, and subscribe if you love this content?